This might be better. My name is Nick Schwab. I'm the founder of Invoked Apps, a voice-first software company that is primarily known for building Alexa skills. I'm also an Alexa champion, which means that Amazon has basically recognized me as a member in the community and a thought leader in the voice space. I published over 50 Alexa skills to the skill store, and many of those contain in-skill purchases. Now, building for Alexa has only really been out there for about 3 or 4 years now, as far as the Alexa Skills Kit is concerned. So everybody's probably wondering, what did I do before Alexa? And my background is actually as a web developer. Prior to building Alexa skills, I worked as a full-stack web developer at a Fortune 500 insurance company where I managed over 200 different database servers. I've worked at various startups as well, helping people manage their personal finances. And I've worked at a major automotive company. Actually, sorry, there's supposed to be a picture showing up here. Can we do a slide check real quick? There's some pictures not showing up. All right. At a major automotive company where I helped app developers build apps for cars. Some of my strengths as a web developer are building APIs, managing databases, and creating the basic infrastructure for this technology. However, some of my weaknesses as a full-stack developer are the visual design aspects and building front-end tools. So when I heard about the Alexa Skills Kit, I thought this is a great opportunity to take my strengths, building back-end APIs, while avoiding my weaknesses, front-end development. But my real motivator was what happened in January 2016. I lost my job. The company that I was working for was a startup company, and they were basically on the brink of bankruptcy, and they had to let me go. So something strange happens when you lose your job. You end up having a lot more free time. So naturally, when I wasn't looking for a new job, reaching out to my professional contacts, or having interviews, I looked up how to build Alexa skills. And I actually released my first Alexa skill before I even received my first Echo device. It was one of the first 200 skills in the entire platform. It was called Bargain Buddy. And its purpose was to report the daily deal from a couple different online merchants. These were merchants that I would go to on my computer or my smartphone on a daily basis just to see what deal they had of the day. And I thought, what a great way for me to take this using their APIs and bring it to a voice experience. Hey, there we go. Images, thank you. So, bringing this to Alexa was a way for me to change something that I used to access on my computer or smartphone every day and bring it to voice. So this is a perfect combination or perfect learning experience for me, taking something that I knew how to do using APIs and bringing it to something that I didn't know quite yet, building Alexa skills. Once I received my Echo Dot in the mail, I had this spike of curiosity in me. I started asking Alexa different things to figure out what it could do and what it couldn't do. And as someone who recently started investing in the stock market at the time, I asked Alexa a simple question. I said, Alexa, what's the stock price of Netflix? And to my surprise, Alexa responded, sorry, I'm not sure how to help you with that. So, keep in mind, this was, about 3 years ago. So Alexa was fairly new. The very first Echo customers were just receiving their device. There was still, tons of progress to be made with the software and even with the hardware. So as a web developer and an entrepreneur, I immediately recognized, well, this is a great opportunity for me to build a skill to enable Alexa to look up stock prices, because it just made sense. So as a web developer, I scavenged the internet for a free stock price API. I built a database of thousands of publicly traded US companies, and then I used my skills as a software engineer to combine these tools and build an Alexa skill. It was the very first skill that allowed you to ask for a stock price using the spoken company name, not the ticker symbol. Because if you were going to talk to your friend and say, hey, did you trade Netflix today? You wouldn't go up to him and say, hey, did you trade NFLX today? That'd be weird. So of course, this skill had a bit more traction than my other skill before. This is a bit more enticing to a larger audience. And eventually, this became a native feature of Alexa, right? Like, I was creating a stopgap solution in the meantime while Amazon worked out some of the details to make stock prices a native solution. But nevertheless, I wasn't done yet. Fortunately, between January of 2016 and April of 2016, I found a new job. I was no longer unemployed. Of course, this means I have less free time again. But I packed up my belongings, I threw them onto a truck, and I moved into a new apartment about 150 miles away from where I lived before. And after a few weeks of being in this new apartment, I had the joy of a new neighbor move in above me. And most of the time, I'm great with new neighbors, meeting new people, all for it. However, this new neighbor woke up at 5 in the morning every morning and stomped loudly in the morning, and when she left for work, her dog would bark for 2 hours straight. So, of course, that woke me up, and I was no longer able to go back to sleep. And it turns out that, this problem has existed for a long time, not just in apartments, but in city living. People struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep because of noises. But nevertheless, I found myself tired, unamused, and yearning for a good night's rest. I tried talking to my neighbor about the problem, and nothing improved. But this problem is actually something that has been solved for years through a device called a sound machine. People would buy these sound machines for upwards of $100, and they would play a series of different sound loops, things like rain, ocean waves, thunderstorms, and that's all they did. They're about the size of a clock radio. And I thought, you know what? Instead of spending $100, maybe a little bit less, on one of these sound machines, I'm going to turn my Echo Dot that I had on my bedside into a sound machine for free. So I decided to put the Echo Dot on my bedside and build a simple skill, which was just playing the sound loop of a rain shower. I used this skill by myself before publishing it for about 3 weeks, and I found that it dramatically improved my ability to sleep through my neighbor's noisy mornings. So I published it to the skill store, and when I published it, I used a very obvious name, Rain Sounds, right? It has great SEO, and as a potential user, you know exactly what you're going to get based off the name. It was the first Alexa skill of its kind. Now, if you search the skill store, you'll find probably dozens, if not hundreds, of different ambient sounds that have been published by different developers. But as the very first one, it instantly began attracting thousands of customers on a weekly basis. And keep in mind, this was back in 2016 when Alexa was fairly new. So thousands of users per week is actually really, really good back then. Of course, we've reached more milestones since then, which I'll get to in a moment. But I doubled down on this idea after seeing the growth of rain sounds, and I released over 45 different sounds now today in total. And they're some of the most popular skills in the Alexa skill store. And their growth over the past few years has been absolutely phenomenal. Today, I have millions of monthly listeners using these skills. They serve about 300,000 people every single day, millions per month. They serve 250 million Lambda requests every month, API requests every month. And the power of Lambda is actually phenomenal. To power these API requests, over 250 million of them per month, it costs about $300. So if you're thinking about your technology stack and building for Alexa, I highly recommend Lambda. It's an excellent solution. But the real kicker is that they serve over 4 petabytes of data every single month. On a daily level, it's about 150 terabytes. And this bandwidth isn't cheap, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So people often ask me, why did these skills become so popular? I believe that they became popular because they solved a problem. And most importantly, it was a problem that I was experiencing personally. So I had a vested interest in making sure that the skills that I made were of good quality and were reliable. So little did I know that they would create a habit in my own life and also in the lives of tons of customers. Even though I no longer have a noisy neighbor, I still use these skills on a daily basis, not because I need to, but because I want to. In fact, I now struggle to go to sleep without having these sounds. And they're also some of the most simple skills to use. If you look at the design of these skills, as a customer, you really only have two different options. You can either start or stop the sound, or you can turn looping on or off. They're very much a utility. There's no extensive voice menus or long descriptions of how to use the skill. A user can simply start using it, and it's very intuitive. They know exactly what to do and what they can do. And Amazon calls these one-shot skills. They're essentially, they're skills that they do one thing and they do it really well. There's no need to go through menus or have an extensive conversation. It's just getting the content that the user is expecting and getting it to them very, very quickly. And they also are clearly named. So these skills, like I said, rain sounds, it's a super obvious name, right? If I were to name it anything else, it'd probably be ridiculous. So users know not only how to find a skill because they're probably searching for rain sounds, but they can also easily remember how to invoke it again in the future, which is extremely important for your re-engagement. And they're also very reliable. I've invested a lot of time and effort into making sure that these skills are always reliable to users so that they can come back every single night and the sound will play for either an hour or indefinitely until they say stop. And it rarely ever fails, thanks to the power of Lambda, as I mentioned earlier, as well as Amazon S3. And also these skills are optimized for all devices. So each sleep sound skill offers a thoughtful audio-first experience, but on devices with displays, users are met with a beautiful background image, and in some cases, a list that they can actually scroll through or tap on an item with a touch of their finger. So your customers might be on an audio-only device, they might be on a device with a large screen like a TV, or they might be on a smaller screen, or even a round screen. So regardless of what kind of device your user is on, you want to make sure that the experience they're getting is representative of your brand. In fact, who here does not have a device with a display, an Alexa device with a display? Raise your hand if you do not have one. I saw one person back here. Oh, we have a few more. Excellent. All right, keep your hands up, please. I saw you first, and you are in the front row, so I applaud your courage. This is an Echo Show 5 with Alexa built in. I brought it from the US, so if you'd like it, it's yours. I can't guarantee it works in Japan, but I hope it does. At Invoked Apps, I see about 15% of our customers have devices with a display. And this is increasing every single month. So, it's really important to make sure that your users are having the best experience possible, because at 15%, having multimodal support on your skills could be the difference between getting a 5-star review or a 4-star review average. And the better your reviews, the more likely users are going to find your skill in the skill store. Now, even though Alexa customers love my skills, that doesn't mean that I don't get negative feedback. In fact, I get probably a dozen emails every single week from people asking for certain sounds or asking for certain features that I don't offer yet, or even from people who ask a question for a feature that I do have, and I just need to do a better job at informing them that the feature exists. But most commonly, people would say things like, I love your skills and I use them every night, but I hate the pause each hour. Or I wish you'd offer rain with ocean waves. Or maybe the rain sounds like frying bacon. So listening to customer feedback like this has been a driving force in the success of my skills. At least that's what I like to think. And taking this feedback, I've been able to translate it directly into a feature improvement for my skills. So for somebody who says, I hate the pause each hour, the real answer for me as a technology enthusiast and entrepreneur was, okay, they're actually asking for a longer audio track. Instead of an hour, maybe they need 4 hours or 8 hours. Or for somebody who says, I wish you offered rain with ocean waves, or rain with the wind, or crickets and frogs. What they're really asking for is the ability to combine two sounds together. Or for the person who says rain sounds like frying bacon, they might just be really hungry. Hopefully that's not the case because I can't fix that problem. But for the folks who say rain sounds like frying bacon, that to me is a sign that they want higher quality audio. So the great thing is I'm a programmer. I know how to solve all these problems. And better yet, I can attach these features as a premium membership option in my skills to hopefully cover my costs and make some money along the way. So not only was it important for me to address this customer feedback, but streaming 4 petabytes of data per month isn't cheap. It actually costs thousands of dollars every month. So it was important for me to monetize my skills to offset my costs and hopefully make some profit along the way. There are 3 different types of ISPs that are in-skill purchases that Amazon offers. The first is consumables. Consumable ISPs allow a customer to buy a digital product, use it, and then buy it again. A great example of this would be a game, such as an Escape the Room game, where maybe if a player gets stuck while they're playing the game, they could buy a pack of hints for, say, 99 cents, and that would give them clues as they play, or if they get stuck, they can ask for a clue, to help them to the next stage of the game. Or maybe a quiz skill, where it's a multiple choice option, and they can choose to buy a power-up that would eliminate 1 or 2 of the wrong answers in the option pool. Entitlement ISPs are similar to buying a premium app in the iOS store or the Android or Google Play store. A customer can pay a one-time fee, basically, and then they own the content for life. So this model is often seen in game skills where a player can buy an item that might help them over the lifetime of their playback. Or as an expansion pack in a quiz game to unlock additional questions in the quiz. And then there's subscriptions. Subscription ISPs recur on a monthly or annual basis. They're great for unlocking recurring content, or maybe you are a large brand who wants to enhance your existing content for paying customers. For example, instead of offering a weekly update, maybe you do daily updates for your paying customers. And for all of these ISPs, Amazon takes a 30% cut of the revenue, which is similar to what you'd find in iOS or Google Play. And then as a developer, you get to keep 70% of that. For Invoked Apps, subscriptions were a perfect fit because whenever a user uses a skill and streams the audio, it costs me money. And the longer they listen, it costs me even more money. So it was important for me to have a recurring revenue stream to offset the cost of my recurring expenses. So for a small monthly fee, I could offer skill enhancements such as longer loops, higher quality audio, or mixing sounds together based on that feedback that I talked about earlier. And in order to determine the price of this ISP, I had to take off my developer hat and put on my business hat and crunch some numbers because it had to work financially, otherwise it just didn't make sense. To my surprise, I found that my users only cost me an average of less than a penny per month. However, when you have millions of users, those pennies quickly add up. So you still have to be conscious of how many of your users are likely to convert, because as with any freemium service, only a fraction of customers are actually going to convert. And to my surprise, I found that about 2% of customers overall will convert and purchase digital content in my skills. This is on par with what we see with the iOS store, Google Play Store, so there's no surprise there. People are actually open to the idea of buying digital content on Alexa. Great news. And it's working. This is a graph of my monthly recurring revenue over the past several months, ever since I launched in-skill purchases. While I won't reveal the actual revenue numbers behind these bars here, I will say that from May to November of 2019, we've seen a 300% increase in monthly recurring revenue from in-skill purchases. So 3 years ago, I had thousands of users and no revenue. And today I have millions of users and a healthy stream of revenue that has changed my life. So much so that I was able to afford my dream car, a Tesla Model 3. I love that car. It's amazing. Unfortunately, the voice experience in that car sucks. Hopefully one day Alexa will be in Teslas, but hey, what can I do? I'm not saying that everybody who integrates ISPs is going to be able to afford their dream car or beyond, but I can at least give you some advice based on things that I've learned to help you get there or hopefully even go beyond. The first and probably the most important thing of adding ISPs into your skills is to add, don't take away. So your free users who have been with you probably for years, hopefully for years, they're your bread and butter. They're what got you to where you are today. So don't take what used to be free away from them and put it behind a paywall. Instead, offer them new features that they can subscribe to, and hopefully they want to, not only because it betters their life or improves their experience, but they also want to support you for the years and years that you've spent helping them out for free. And optimize the funnel. So Amazon handles a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to actually integrating ISPs into your skills. But when it comes to sales, that process is really entirely up to you. So the first thing that you need to do as a developer is identify what customers you want to sell to. You don't want to sell to every single one of your users because the person who came to your skill the first time doesn't want to hear a sales pitch. They just want to get to the content that they were looking for. So at Invoked Apps, we actually have a rule that says only upsell to a customer if they've used the skill at least 3 times. And then when giving the upsell and trying to get a user to make a purchase, sell the user on the added value that they'll get. Don't pressure them on price or availability or limited time pricing. And then finally, the last thing that will happen in the purchase flow is the offer. So the offer is largely handled by Amazon. This is simply saying the price of the ISP, and it gives the user the option to purchase at the time. And this also includes any information about a free trial you might be offering, for example. And another important thing is to upsell softly. So like I said earlier, don't pressure people on price or even trying to pressure them based on time. Just be gentle with your upsells. Tell them, here's how it might improve your life. It'd be great if you want to sign up. Otherwise, no worries. You can always ask. For example, you can say, ask Rain Sounds about pro membership, and they can come back to that at any time they'd like. And another thing, if you're using subscriptions in particular, is to offer a free trial. By offering a free trial, you're giving your customers an option to try your premium content before getting locked into a price. And hopefully your premium content is good enough where they want to stay a customer. And at Invoked Apps, this is exactly what we've seen. We've seen 90% of people who sign up for a free trial actually convert into paying customers. So people are actually enjoying the premium content on Alexa and want to keep paying for it. And finally, adapt to user behavior. So as you go about upselling your customers, some of them are going to say no, and that's okay. When they say no, don't pressure them about it more. Just say, okay, sure. If you ever want it, here's how you can ask for it. Otherwise, just bring them right back into the skill experience they were expecting. And if the user isn't interested in your premium content that day, they're probably not going to be interested in it tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So I recommend giving at least a week in between your upsells. That way you're not annoying your users with too many upsells. By being conscious of how you're communicating with your users and how people might react to upsells, you're optimizing your conversion rate while minimizing negative feedback to your skills. So I hope you've enjoyed my story and found my tips helpful. Thank you so much to Amazon for inviting me here today. This is my first time in Japan. It's a true pleasure to be here. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, nick@invokedapps.com, or I'll be around later today at the Q&A. Thank you.